Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Solis,
I'm Chang.
I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Aaron.
and today we will be introducing our research topic, which is coronavirus. We will be getting in depth and what is going on around the world, statistically wise. Also, introduce our theoretical framework that we use to do our research topic, and finally, at the end, conclude everything by giving our thoughts and any takeaways that we got from this assignment. So, just to begin, um, we're currently living in a pandemic right now. And to introduce that, COVID-19 has occurred throughout the United States and all over the world. In the United States, the first case of COVID-19 was actually reported on January 21st, 2020. And what the coronavirus disease is, it's a respiratory illness that spreads from person to person. And it has been doing that very rapidly. Um, and it started out in China. And as you can see from the picture behind our presentation, it has spread across the whole world. So it has turned into a pandemic in huge numbers.
One key point that I want to emphasize before we continue on with the presentation is, as you can see, when you're looking at the numbers of confirmed cases, not only in the United States, but across the world and California as well, our own state, what started as a very low level, kind of under the radar disease with low numbers of infection rapidly spread, and basically everything went from 0 to 100 incredibly fast. And with these numbers down here being as large as they are now in such a short amount of time, shows how quickly this disease is able to spread. And later on in this presentation, a key point that is going to come up again is how fast things can be spread. And later on, it'll be within the lines of social contagion and the spread of different ideas and behaviors, just like how the disease is spreading the virus throughout the world just as fast as ideas are spreading.
Yeah, perfect. So before we do want to emphasize again the preventions of COVID-19, and we've heard of this through news outlets, social media, how important it is to prevent COVID-19 because it could put yourself at risk, your family, or even your close friends. So again, clean your hands as often as you can. I have heard it from my work that it's recommended to clean your hands with warm water, roughly for 20 seconds. Clean them as much as you can, and avoid close contact with other people. That's why the shelter in place is crucial for us to abide by and stay home to reduce the risk of spreading the disease. If you do cough or sneeze, please cover it by using your arm, and wear a face mask if you are sick. Now the CDC has recommended for us, if we are going to be going out to get groceries or outside our home, to go ahead and wear face masks and continue to keep cleaning your home and disinfect the areas that thanks to this shelter in place, we have more time in the world to clean.
And wearing certain PPE has been shown to put different thoughts into people's heads and cause them to start reacting to different behaviors. And that's just a little point that I wanted to put out there, just because with everything that news outlets are covering, and as well as our own eyewitness accounts, we've all seen people wearing masks outside, PPE, and everyone has different thoughts and feelings towards people who either are wearing masks or are not wearing masks. And that's another example of the different kinds of ideas that are spread throughout this pandemic within lines of social contagion.
No, definitely. So that brings us to our next topic here, which is our social contagion theory, which events like these raised our collective behavior. So we'll go ahead and jump into that right now.
So basically, with COVID-19 being the event that the whole entire world is focusing on at the moment, makes it coincide with the concept of social contagion very well. To begin, we'll go over the word contagion, and the definition of that word was once used to define rapidly spreading infection, but now in more modern times, it is used metaphorically to describe anything that spreads really quickly from person to person. And when it comes to social contagion, the spread of ideas, thoughts, and behaviors is compared and paralleled to the spread of a disease or a virus from person to person, and that's where the word social comes into play in the term social contagion, the rapid spread of ideas, thoughts, and behaviors. And with COVID-19, um, the process in which the ideas, thoughts, and behaviors, the process in which that is carried through from person to person and into a collective group, starts with a large group focusing on the same event, person, or object. And in this case, the entire world, like I said earlier, is focused on the coronavirus as the main event that is being thought about and watched by everyone. And basically, as that common idea or the common event is being watched by everyone, and that's established, excitement starts to grow, and members of the public start to lose their sense of self-consciousness in a way, and their ability to think before acting. And this leads to behaviors that are carried out by the collective who are infected with the common ideas and behaviors that have been spread around because of the pandemic. It causes these people to act out without thinking, with different behaviors that normally they would not do. And then other members of the group who already have that same idea or that same focus in their heads will support and repeat that behavior and that thought without a second thought. And a prime example of that we've seen is with the supermarkets and the grocery stores all running out of toilet paper, soap, hand sanitizer, and food. And that all started because everyone was focused on coronavirus as the one common idea that's being focused on by the world. And then once one person decided to basically act out without thinking after they lost their sense of self-consciousness, all it took was someone else to see that, and the process and the events like the clearing out of the grocery stores begin to repeat and repeat because the ideas spread from one person to another rapidly, and with everyone focused on the same thing and the behaviors being repeated so quickly and so often, different events like that begin to happen. And social contagion is basically just the enveloping term and idea that encompasses what we've been seeing on the news and seeing at our local grocery stores and outside our own homes.
So within our research, we looked up at the SARS epidemic that occurred in 2002, 2003, and really looked into the epidemic that happened in Toronto, Canada, with the hospitals and the hysteria that they got as a result. But how this pandemic, epidemic started for the SARS was that it originated in Guangdong, China, and a physician who was treating patients during that time flew to Hong Kong, and during his stay at the hotel, around 11 guests got infected, and those same guests started flying all over the world, and that's how the spread of SARS occurred.
So these are our thoughts on COVID-19 as of now. Coronavirus is the largest global disease encountered in recent years. It has affected 175 countries around the world, and the deaths have exceeded 87,780. The global infection has more than 1.4 million. This is not just a country that needs to tackle the problem and find a solution. It is a catastrophic infectious disease for all of humanity, and we must all work together to overcome this. We all have to take responsibility and play our part to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by practicing social distancing and wearing protective gear if we do have to go out for necessities. And we know that there are some people who do not acknowledge that the consequences of COVID-19 are real, and they don't, pay attention, or they're not self-conscious about like their actions. And this can really be dangerous for people that we love who are older, or like our families and our friends. So we should really practice social distancing and washing our hands to prevent getting our friends and families sick.
Perfect. And in conclusion, we want to go ahead and open up our takeaways that we got from the assignment. So I'll go ahead and start first. One of the remarkable things is, as a sociologist and training, is that we are actually experiencing this event happening right now in front of our eyes. And now that we're of a globalized society with our technology and social media, we're all staying connected with our friends and family during the shutdown.
For me, my biggest takeaway from researching and completing this assignment was really heavily focused on the concept of social contagion, in the sense that I was just very surprised at how all the things that we learned about social contagion, and especially how quickly the ideas and thoughts and behaviors can spread. It was very heavily emphasized in the text that we were reading in class, and also the text that we were reading as sources when we were completing this assignment. To me, I was surprised because the authors of those publications were not emphasizing the spread and how severe it can be of thoughts and ideas and behaviors. They were not emphasizing that for no reason. And I myself was able to get like a firsthand account of that, and seeing as to how everyone around me, and not just around me but around the world, had become so focused and on the same event that's been going around. The whole world became infected with the whole idea of the coronavirus spreading as much as it did with getting infected with the virus in general. And to me, because the amount of people that are focused on the event currently is much higher than the amount of people that are sick, it just goes to show how much faster the ideas and thoughts and behaviors spread through social contagion compared to the disease itself, which was for me the biggest takeaway.
The biggest takeaway for me was like following up on social media like Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, all of that. And I just personally, I believe like the contagion itself could have been contained better if social media and like media in general didn't really take that step to like make it a hysteria, kind of to the point where people are now stocking up on supplies that really do not need. You don't need that much toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and just it just makes it harder for people who do need that kind of supply to get, because they're always out of stock. I do see stores kind of taking the they're like putting the people who are older, who are elderly up for prioritizing them by giving like a specific time frame for them to come into a store to buy what they need, and then allowing the rest of the public to buy whatever they need for necessities. And I just think that it's just really hard to it's really hard for people to like understand that this isn't just about them, and this is about the collective whole, and that we really need to work on like not hoarding and like buying only what you need. Don't overbuy anything, because honestly that we don't have that many workers anyways. And just practicing social distancing and washing our hands is really important, and we shouldn't overestimate or underestimate this disease, because it can get to a lot of people no matter their age.
For me, even at the beginning of the coronavirus in China, I look at the numbers from like 100, 2,000, 10,000, and right now like I feel like it made people upset, and like I said, they feel like it make everyone have to stay at home, and probably make the city shut down. And like one day I was driving on 280. This highway always like crowded, but there was no car. There are a few cars, and during the time is make people feel like, I feel like kind of sad. Like even today, like in the United States, is already like more than like 40,000, I think, more than 40,000 people had confirmed cases. Like we don't know when was the time we can go out, and the coronavirus will stop. But it's like we all experience the same things in the world.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. So that concludes our presentation. I hope everyone took something away, especially from our social contagion theory. Again, together, we all play a role in this. So let's continue to put in our best foot forward. And thank you again. Bye.